Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Monday. We are back from the weekend with 3 hours of sports talk on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook, WIBW News. However you're tuning into the program today, thanks so much for being a part of it. Hope you had an outstanding weekend, and we're glad to have you back in one piece on a Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. I'm Dan Lucero, solo for the start of the show. Spencer Dupuis will be along later on. Brendan Orzinski is off today. Good to be with you after the weekend, and plenty to get to in the next 3 hours. Royals baseball is on late tonight, so hope you, stocked up on your caffeine, however you prefer to take it in, because we got an 8:40 first pitch tonight from Seattle as the Royals open a 4-game series against the Mariners. That means pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network and right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll get started tonight at 8 o'clock as the Royals enter a 4-game series. I hate to keep saying this, but it keeps being true. This is a pretty important series for the Kansas City Royals. They're 39-45. They dropped their series to the Dodgers over the weekend. We got some thoughts on that. And they are continuing to lose ground in the American League wildcard race. But they've got company in that regard. There are a lot of teams right now that are trying to excuse themselves from the wildcard race. Cleveland, Boston. So it's still within grasp for the Royals if they can go out and get a series in Seattle against the team that currently holds the final spot in the American League postseason. They're up on the Royals by 4.5 games. The Royals could make up all but a half of those games this week, or they could make up 2 of those games with a series win this week. And being 2.5 out of a playoff spot would feel pretty good given, well, all the everything the Royals have dealt with in what has not been a very good month of June. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the state of the wild card race. We'll look ahead to this series against the Mariners. Tonight's pitching matchup, Michael Wacha for the Boys in Blue, George Kirby for Seattle. And some residual thoughts from the weekend that was. As the Royals, well, they don't emulate the 2012 team and play a winless month at home, but they come uncomfortably close, losing 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers on the weekend. Their only win coming in Saturday's 9-5 triumph. I said on the show, we gave away tickets to the Saturday game. And I hope our ticket winner, I believe the gentleman's name was Dwayne. I hope Dwayne and his 3 accomplices enjoyed the game. I said on the show as we were getting ready to give those tickets away, look, Royals haven't won a home game this month. Maybe you'll be the lucky charm if you win and you go to the ball game on Saturday. Well, clearly I was onto something, and I just should have been giving away tickets all month. And we could have sent lucky listeners, and it's true. It's you all. It's the 580 Sports Talk coterie that is perhaps the lucky charm for the Royals at home. So lots of Royals that we will get to on the program today. Plenty of football as well, as always on a Monday. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We got a big trade to talk about in the NFL. A player-for-player trade. Feels like a baseball trade. You don't see player for player, and you especially don't see multiple players for one player, but that's what we got today between the Steelers and the Dolphins. In case you missed that, this Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey are headed from Miami to Pittsburgh. Minka Fitzpatrick goes from Pittsburgh to Miami along with a late round pick. Very odd, this trade. So I'm excited to get Matt Verderame's perspective on that deal and everything else going on in the NFL and with the Chiefs and all that. But Matt Verderame at the bottom of this hour joining us, our NFL insider. We'll also continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff, and it is 67 days until Chiefs-Chargers in Brazil, week 1 of the 2025 season. And that brings us to number 67, and Chiefs don't have one of those. So the last one, by the way, and I will give full credit to anyone who can come up with this, or you're thinking it, you know it, it's on the tip of your tongue. Maybe you're screaming it at your radio or the computer, or you're getting ready to type it in right now, the YouTube live chat, or text it in, 785-272-9429. But full credit to anybody who can remember the last number 67 for the Kansas City Chiefs. That, of course, would be the immortal Lucas Niang. But we're not going to talk about Lucas Niang today. We are going to talk about offensive line play, because number 67, typically an offensive line number. I think it is accurate, and Spencer will be in by this point, and we'll discuss if I'm right or not. We'll get your thoughts as well. I think it is fair to call the left side of the offensive line the biggest weakness for the 2025 Kansas City Chiefs. And is that potentially the most fatal of flaws for the group of AFC contenders, which it's not a real big group when you think about it, with due respect to like Pittsburgh or Houston or Los Angeles, whoever else you want to name. There are really only 4 teams that can win the AFC. And you may think I'm stretching, including Cincinnati in that discussion. But the reason I include Cincinnati in that discussion is they have a quarterback who's good enough to do it and has done it before. And if you don't have a quarterback as good as Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, you are not going to win the AFC. You're not getting by one of those 4 quarterbacks. You're not doing it. Maybe C.J. Stroud joins that group this year. I have some questions. I don't think they're protecting him well enough in Houston. So anyway, we'll look at the contender class in the AFC and discuss whose biggest weakness might be the most fatal. And again, it's weaknesses on paper. Is there a chance that the Chiefs' perceived weakness could end up, well, maybe not a strength, but at least not a fatal flaw? Well, we'll discuss that too a little bit later on in today's show. So lots of baseball, lots of football, plus all the other things you've come to know and love from an episode of 580 Sports Talk on a Monday. We'll have a full slate of 580 Sports Talk headlines, lots of news from the weekend and from today to get to. It'll be a lengthy headline segment. We will crown a June champion. Today's the final day of June, so we will crown our June champion on What Is Wrong With You. We are down to our 2 finalists for the month. In one corner, won the lotto, lost the girl and the money. And in the other corner, give me a tip or I empty the clip. 2 great stories that we will pit against each other for the June championship and What Is Wrong With You. We'll also have good, bad, ugly from the weekend. That was all coming up. And as I mentioned, you have plenty of opportunity to interact with the program today. If you are listening along and would like to text the program, the text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 785-272-9429. Also, if you are watching the show on our YouTube channel, name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. If you're watching the show on the channel, there is a live chat that if you're watching live, you can jump on in. If you're logged in, interact with us, interact with your fellow listeners. I see Mark H. is already in. Hello to you, Mark. Gonzo's in. Paul's in early. Love to see that. Looking forward to seeing more of you throughout the program today. Jump into that YouTube live chat. And hey, if you've never been to the YouTube stream or watched the YouTube before, today's a great day to do it. It's a great day to join and enrich the 580 Sports Talk community. And you should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Again, the name of the channel, simple one to remember, 580 Sports Talk. Let's start with some baseball. Man, it felt like Saturday was going to be a turning point for the Royals, didn't it? In the immediate aftermath, the afterglow, I would even call it, of Saturday's 9-5 Royals win. That game felt like it could represent a turning point or a catharsis for a Royals team that has desperately needed one. All the big bats had good days. Vinny Pasquantino had a monster day. 5 runs driven in, including his 3-run home run that really busted the game open. Maikel Garcia drove in a couple. Salvador Perez had an RBI double. Jonathan India and Bobby Witt Jr. were igniting the offense from the top of the order. That felt like the picture of how it was supposed to look all along kind of game, right? And it felt like it could be a catharsis, a nice, comfortable win. Sam Long's issues in the ninth notwithstanding. I really wondered if, when you combine that with how well the Royals play, because the Royals play well on Friday night, and they got the tying and winning runs on base in the bottom of the ninth, and then Caglione grounded into the double play to win it. More about that in a second. But given how they competed on Friday night, and then the bats bust out on Saturday, you get a comfortable win, you break the home streak, felt like that could be a sigh of relief, sort of cathartic win for the Royals that could be the start of something positive. And then in the first inning on Sunday, Jonathan India gets on base and Bobby Witt Jr. brings him in, and right back to the drawing board, right? That's the way it was supposed to be. That's how we drew it up. India and Bobby igniting the offense. Runner at second. It's a bullpen day for the Dodgers. Got a chance to put up another number on them like they did in the bullpen game on Saturday once Ohtani was out of there after 2 scoreless innings. Got a chance to put up a crooked number in the first, keep that momentum going, and back Chris Bubich. Bobby Witt Jr. moves to third with 1 out. Then he pops up on the first pitch. And Salvador Perez has an at-bat that I can only describe as disgusting. And the rally falls by the wayside, and it just settled into the old familiar from there. The Royals could generate nothing against the long man for the Dodgers, Justin Wroblewski. And the end result, a 5-1 defeat in the rubber game. Now, some of this is the Dodgers are probably not the ideal opponent to start something against. They're the best team in the National League. I believe they're the best team in baseball. And they showed why. Like, the contrast between what that lineup can do and what the Royals lineup does was really stark on Saturday and Sunday in particular. Because Seth Lugo was really good on Saturday. Took a shutout into the 6th inning. Had, I believe it was 9 strikeouts. I'm double checking the box. It was 8 strikeouts. Mixing all his pitches, limiting hard contact. It was really good stuff from Seth Lugo. He was good against the lefties. They loaded the lineup with lefties. He struck out Ohtani twice. He got rushing the 9-hole with a couple of big outs in that game. But he also walked 5 guys. And he threw 107 pitches in 5 2/3 innings. And that's what the Dodger lineup, even not the best version of their lineup, because the Saturday lineup was not their best lineup. Saturday lineup didn't have Tommy Edman. Saturday lineup didn't have Will Smith, who came into the weekend leading the National League in hitting. That was an intentionally left-hand heavy lineup against Lugo, but it wasn't their best possible lineup 1 through 9, and it was still an absolute meat grinder, even for a guy pitching well, even for a guy who had good stuff, who made the big pitches, stayed calm in the big moments. It was an exceptional start from Seth Lugo. What it was not was efficient. And then the Dodgers turned around and did it again to Chris Bubich, who I thought looked really iffy early, but steadied the ship, ended up having, again, a nice outing. Allowed 2 runs on 3 hits in 5 innings yesterday, only walked 2, and give up the home run to Kike Hernandez on a changeup that I bet Bubich wanted back as soon as it left his hand. But Bubich needed 90 pitches for those 5 innings, and that allows the Dodgers. They do this better than any other team. It allows the Dodgers to get into the middle of your bullpen. In the 6th inning, in the 7th inning, you're taking your hacks against middle relievers. And I credit Matt Quatraro for how he managed yesterday, getting Steven Cruz into the game in the 6th inning and not looking at that spot and saying, hey, you know what? We're down 2-1, but it's the 6th inning. Cruz is a late inning guy. Cruz along with Urseg and Estevez, of course. Though that's kind of the late inning crew for the Royals right now. But they went to Cruz in the 6th down a run. And I thought that was good managing for Matt Quatraro. I thought that was an example of saying, hey, we want to get one of our best guys in the game right now. We're not just going to go to John Schreiber or Taylor Clark just because, well, it's the 6th inning. And it's that's their inning. We didn't go back to like the Ned Yost, Aaron Crow's inning is the 6th days there. That was, I thought, good managing. But Steven Cruz is still not your best guy, and he got burnt. He gave up the 2-run home run to Will Smith, who, again, one of the best hitters in the National League this year. Sometimes good hitters get you. And ended up giving being charged with another run on top of that when Zerpa came in, and he gave up the inherited run and another run in the 7th inning. But again, you're able to get to that. The Royals' strength has been their starting pitching, but the Royals couldn't keep Lugo and Bubic in the game very long, because the Dodgers are so patient. They foul pitches off. They just grind out at bat after at bat after at bat. And the real stark contrast, I thought, watching on Sunday, and this is not the kind of thing that I had noticed before. Sean Newkirk was posting about this on X, the Everything app, where everything happens, X, and pointing out that the Royals struggle to do damage on fastballs in the zone, which is like, those are the pitches you're supposed to do damage on, right? But nobody does less damage on fastballs in the zone this year across all of baseball than Jonathan India. And Bobby Witt Jr. is not far behind. It is mystifying. As great a hitter as Bobby Witt Jr. is, how many pitches this year it feels like he has missed in the zone. He struck out 3 times yesterday, and I thought he should have had potentially, he had pitches to hit. Let's say that. He had pitches to drive, and he missed them. And not missed them, fouled them off, and missed them, rolled them over, like missed them completely. And that's the difference. That's the difference between a lineup that puts pressure on an opposing pitcher and a lineup that does not. And too often, it has been the case that the Royals lineup is not a lineup that puts pressure on opposing pitchers. Justin Wroblewski cruised yesterday. He only needed 83 pitches to get through 6 innings of relief. And Wroblewski's having a good year, but he's not like Clayton Kershaw. And that's kind of how the Royals made him look yesterday for 2nd through the 7th inning. And so the Royals are unable to build on Saturday. And that has been a continuation of a theme that just when it feels like the offense is going to have the kind of day you can build on, or the kind of series you can build on, it just reverts immediately. I don't know exactly what percentage of that to put on the shoulders of embattled hitting coach Alex Zumwalt. Max Reaper, friend of the program, has a piece up on RoyalsReview.com today. You should check out. Says it's time for the Royals to make a change at hitting coach. Not really a conclusion that you get too lightly, but a conclusion that I know that many of you listening have gotten to, because it's been in the text line. It's been on the YouTube chat that you're frustrated with this Royals offense. You're looking for a scapegoat, and that seems to be the most convenient one. But I do wonder, like, it does feel like there ought to be some responsibility why the offense can't sustain one good game or one good series or even one decent week. Why this offense could go on the road, hit 7 home runs in that 3-game series in Texas, which has been one of the toughest hitters' parks in all of baseball this year. Maybe the toughest. And then go right back and be just miserable on offense for the next week, for the next 7 games, before a 9-run outburst followed immediately by just 1 run on an afternoon when you could catch a hold of one and hit it out at Kauffman Stadium yesterday. Dodgers did it twice. Ball go far for the Dodgers. All told, a frustrating week, frustrating weekend. Royals fall further behind their compatriots in the wild card race and dig themselves a hole that's only going to get harder to dig themselves out of. But there are still 78 games in which to try and dig, and you've got a golden opportunity if you're the Royals to try and dig your way out of it, starting with 4 in Seattle this week. One last thought before we hit a break here. Man, I hope that Royals fans don't turn on Jack Caglione. Friday night was rough. Friday night, that was a brutal way to lose. It was the one thing Cags couldn't do. Striking out in that spot would have been fine for the kid. Totally fine. He could have waved through 3 pitches. Well, okay, you live to fight another day. You pass the baton. It's 2 outs. You got to get that tying run in from third, but at least the game continues. And Caglione came on and hit the first pitch, not even with any authority, and he beat it into the ground. And there's been too much of that from Caglione. Too much of his contact's been on the ground. Even the hard contact, too much of it's on the ground right now for Cags. And I don't know what adjustment he's got to make to start elevating the ball again, because when he elevates the ball, that's when he's going to do his damage. That's what they brought him to the bigs to do. But too many batted balls on the ground for Cags. He hits into that double play, takes the air out of Kauffman Stadium. They had a chance for the kind of rally, come from behind win that could really energize a team, and it falls flat. And it's a lot to put on a kid, and it's the worst case scenario so far for Caglione's transition to the bigs, not in terms of his performance, though, yes, it has been a struggle, his transition to the major leagues, but the offense isn't good enough for him to be struggling like this. And that's unfair to the kid. And that was the concern that we had, and why we were kind of on this program, certainly I was, pumping the brakes, like the whole first 3 months, trying to pump the brakes on, not yet. Let's see if they can't get the offense going around Caglione. I eventually came around to the idea that the big leagues were where Caglione belongs. I still think they're where Caglione belongs. I don't think sending him down accomplishes anything. I think if he's going to learn, he's got to learn in the bigs. But that was a rough spot for him on Friday to fail in front of that home crowd. And I just hope, and I think Kansas City's going to baseball town. Royals fans are smart enough fans. They're not going to turn on the kid because of a bad month. Because, look, it took Bobby Witt Jr. longer than 1 month to become the hitter that he became. It's going to take time. But it has ended up, unfortunately for Jack Caglione, to be the worst possible set of circumstances where not only is he struggling, but nobody else is picking up his slack. So his struggles have been really magnified because he has not ended up being an upgrade on what it was he was brought to the major leagues to replace. And I feel for him a little bit. But I hope the fans don't turn on him, because that was a rough moment on Friday night. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the good, the bad, the ugly from the sports weekend that was. Then Matt Verderame is going to join us, our Sports Illustrated NFL insider, or insider from Sports Illustrated, talk about a big trade in the NFL today and some other topics as well. Hey, we're just getting started on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. The good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was here on 580 Sports Talk. Start with my good. Ryan and Denny on the radio. I think that Royals fans are really fortunate to have some outstanding play-by-play voices. You've obviously got the voice emeritus, Denny Matthews, who's been the voice of the Royals since the first game in a voice of the Royals first game since 1969. He'll be quick to correct you on the matter. Buddy Blattner was the original voice of the Royals, but Denny Matthews been around since 1969. Ryan Lefevre, I think, is terrific. Jake Eisenberg has a chance to be on these games as long as Denny Matthews has been, and I think that would be just fine. I think Jake does a wonderful job. So the Royals have really good play-by-play voices, and I think their best combination, though, is Denny and Ryan, and we got that on the radio this weekend. Saturday afternoon, it was a beautiful day. I was in the pool with my wife, my son, some of my family, my in-laws were over. We had my niece in the pool. Asher was loving the pool. Ryan and Denny on the radio calling a Royals win, and that was about as good as it gets. That was an excellent way to spend a Saturday afternoon. So glad we got to hear Ryan and Denny on the Royals broadcast day. Had a nice little Saturday. So that was my good. Spencer Dupuy, what was your good?
Yeah, it feels good to crack the airwaves again here on 580 Sports Talk. I think it's been a week since I've been on the show. I've been very busy. Took time off last week, a day off, and then it was covering on the ag side all day. But I got to see a concert that I didn't think. So I went to Stampede this weekend.
Okay.
And wasn't going to go Thursday because of having to work early Friday. But I'm a young guy, right? I'm only 27. So I said, you know what? Heck with it. I'm going to go because Eric Church played on Thursday night, acoustic, filled in late for Luke Bryan. It's a once in a lifetime show that I don't think I'll ever see again because it's so expensive to go buy tickets to Eric Church. He doesn't tour a lot, but that was an amazing concert experience. Just the acoustic, like it wasn't like a full band. He started with a 12-minute montage of just a couple of his songs and a bunch of covers. It was so awesome.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed Stampede. All 3 nights you went?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the rest of it here in the bad.
All right. Go ahead then with your bad.
I definitely am feeling getting older because
I don't want to hear it.
I pulled that 3 days of going out to Bonner Springs. Didn't help that I had to work at 5 a.m. on Thursday. Went on Friday, took a 30-minute nap, then went on Thursday night. Then woke up at 4:30 a.m. and went into work at 5 a.m. on Friday. Saturday, I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go. And Olivia was like, let's go. Come on. Like, let's have fun. It'll be fun. So I went and had fun, but I definitely don't think I could do what I did again. I don't think it's healthy to do what I did again because I lived off energy drinks on Friday.
You said what? You were 27 years old?
Yes.
That's the time in your life to do that. And when I was that age, that's probably something I could have handled. Yeah, you pay for it the next day, but who cares?
That's true.
You refill the tank. You're here on a Monday, right? You're feeling good.
Yeah.
Feeling alive, full of vim and vinegar. Yeah, you can do that. You're 27. Talk to me when you're 38. You got a kid.
Okay.
All right. Let me tell you what you no longer have: vim or vinegar. The only vinegar I got is in the Lazy Susan. Use it for cleaning purposes. That's all I got anymore. My kid's running around and now he can point to things and grunt at things he wants, and he's getting demanding now. And so, yeah, that'll wear you out in a hurry. Cherish these days. My bad was Cags ground into that double play at the end of Friday night's game. That was winnable for the Royals. And man, I think that the whole weekend could have unfolded differently if the Royals could have stolen that one on Friday. How about an ugly, Spencer? You got one of those?
Yeah, we were sitting on the couch yesterday watching, starting to finish up a series on Netflix. And Olivia looked over to say something to me. She looked up, and there was a discolored spot in our ceiling. And turns out there's a crack in our bathtub. So
that ain't good.
Yeah. The complex luckily fixing it, but
not what you want. Yeah,
what you want.
Home horror disasters for both you and Brendan this weekend. Man.
Yeah, I woke up like we were taking showers today because obviously like we got to get showers in, and I was like hoping we wouldn't go downstairs and it was like leaking onto the floor. It wasn't, but it's still not great to look at knowing you're going on vacation in a couple of days. So
I don't know that I had an ugly in that regard, except for, my ugly was I had to fix the lawnmower this weekend because I put too much oil in it.
No.
That was running good, and then I turned a corner, and you would have thought I elected a new pope. All this white smoke coming out of the engine. So I had to kill the engine. I had to drain some oil, put a new air filter in, but we got it back in working order. But I learned a real valuable lesson about oil changes and the like this weekend. That hard-earned knowledge that this city slicker maybe didn't have growing up. That's your good, bad, ugly. Matt Verderame joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also part of That Football Show, the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Joins us every Monday at this time for 580 Sports Talk. Matt, we got a big trade in the NFL today. We got a trade involving 3 players. Feels like a baseball trade. Very strange in that sense. Jalen Ramsey going to Pittsburgh, along with Jonnu Smith. Minkah Fitzpatrick going to Miami. Let's start with the Steelers side of this. They add Ramsey. They add Jonnu Smith. They subtract Minkah Fitzpatrick. How much better did the Steelers get today?
I feel like neither one of these teams did anything to change their trajectory. Maybe I'm in the minority with this. The Steelers traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 31-year-old corner who I don't know where they're going to play him because Slay is an outside corner. Porter's a boundary corner. Ramsey has mostly been a boundary corner. I guess he's now going inside, I guess. You've got a 31-year-old corner and a 34-year-old corner in Darius Slay. I don't know who's playing safety. And Fitzpatrick struggled last year comparative to what he had done previously, but he's still a decent player. And then if you're the Dolphins, you have no tight end. You have the worst cornerback room in the league. I don't know who's covering anyone. And then you didn't even really get a pick. Like, you got a 2027 fifth. Jonnu Smith for the Steelers, I like it, but you've got Freiermuth, so he's going to be your second tight end, I would think. It's just it's just a bizarre try. I don't feel like either one of these teams got any better.
Any chance Ramsey maybe moves to safety? Is that maybe the thought process for the Steelers and for Ramsey to move spots?
I understand the thought. I don't think so. I haven't heard that from anybody. I haven't heard that he's willing to make a move to safety, and doesn't mean he couldn't, but the whole thing is just very bizarre to me. I just don't get the thought process from either side. The Dolphins, it feels like, are just waiting to go 5-12 this year. And if you're the Dolphins, if you're not going to be good, and they're not going to be good, barring a miracle, why don't you just trade Tyreek Hill and be done with it? Like, he's got 2 years left in his deal, but realistically, he's got 1 year left. Cap it next year's $52 million, and they're not paying that. So, like, why not just tear this thing down? I think part of the reason is they probably worry about their jobs. They tear this down, then what? And in Pittsburgh, like, you trade for Jalen Ramsey, but you traded away Mick Fitzpatrick. You traded for DK Metcalf. You traded away George Pickens. Like, are you trying to win this year? Are you not trying to win this year? Because you're certainly not winning in the future with these moves. Ramsey's 31, Rodgers is 41. It's just I just don't understand the direction. And TJ Watt, like, they might extend him, they might trade it. Like, what are you doing? Are you trying to win, or are you trying to go like 9-8? It's very bizarre.
From the Miami perspective, I think it's interesting. Like you said, like I don't know. I don't understand the trajectory for Miami and whether they feel like they are all in for trying to compete in 2025. And if they're not, then why have they held their water? Why'd they pay Tua all that money? Where are the Dolphins headed?
Oblivion. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, it's, you look at them and what are you? Hill's 31. Waddle's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's a good player. That's your entire offense. You've got a bunch of running backs, but, like, Achan's supposed to be the guy, but he's typically not healthy. You know, the offensive line is not good. Tua, nothing against him, it's not his fault, but he's injury prone. They've got, defensively, they're horrific. Defensively, they're going to give up 26 points a game. I mean, they're going to get smoked defensively. So I don't know what, I feel like the Dolphins are kind of in that scramble mode now, like a kid trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, where it's just like, I'm just going to turn as many things as humanly possible and see what happens. I feel like that's what Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are at. But there's no winning combination. They're not good enough. They didn't have enough picks over the last few years. The contracts they handed out were huge. I would argue in the AFC, there are worse teams for sure. I would argue that there are no two teams with less of a clear direction than those two teams.
Speaking of the Steelers, going back to them, Adam Schefter reporting for ESPN that teams have been discussing whether they can trade for TJ Watt. And with everything that the Steelers have done this offseason, feeling like it's a move to try and be the best they can possibly be in 2025, trading TJ Watt feels like the antithesis of that. So why do teams think there's a possibility that they could pry Watt away from Pittsburgh?
Because they haven't extended him, and Watt's 30. And last year he was good, not great. And I think some teams might be looking at it like, hey, maybe it's a buy low type of deal, although I don't think that they would sell low on TJ Watt. Again, I just don't understand anything of what Pittsburgh's done this offseason. I just don't get it. If you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, then why did you do all that? Like, just go acquire Ramsey for a fifth-round pick, bring in DK Metcalf, keep Pickens, keep Fitzpatrick, and just go for it. Like, I'm not saying that team's going to win a Super Bowl, but that team's at least interesting. If you've got Pickens and Metcalf on offense, and you've got, Ramsey on the defense with Fitzpatrick, with Slay, with Port, okay, fine. the team that is currently constructed to me is just cannon fodder. They're not going to Baltimore in a playoff game, winning that game. They're not going to Kansas City or Buffalo, winning that game. I feel like with the Steelers, they're just on a mission to win one playoff game. They haven't won one since 2016, and they're looking at this thing like, look, maybe we can find a way to win the division, but probably not. Probably going to be a wild card, but maybe it can be the top wild card team and can go play, Houston in the first round and win that game in the divisional round. But at least we won the game. It feels like that more than it feels like actively trying to win a Super Bowl.
We're joined by Matt Verderame here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, obviously, we knew that the Ravens had released Justin Tucker awaiting for his suspension, but he gets a 10-week suspension. He can serve it unsigned. Do you think he's going to be a guy that's maybe signs week 11, week 12 after the fact that his suspension's over and a team doesn't like where their kicker is midway through the year?
Look, you can never rule it out. I mean, obviously, he's had a Hall of Fame level career. The problem Tucker's got, a couple problems Tucker's got. Number one, okay, he's toxic right now. And listen, they're all allegations. I understand that. But, I mean, those allegations are very, very significant. If even one of the allegations is true, signing him for some teams is going to be flat out non-starter. Some teams might just look at it and say, hey, look, we'll take the PR heat. We don't care. But he is pretty untouchable at the moment. He also, the other problem he has, he was awful last year. If he was Justin Tucker of most of his career last season, I'd say, yeah, you know what? Some team is probably just going to swallow hard in week 13 and say, you know what? We're going to sign him. And some teams still might. Some team might just go out there and say, hey, look, we need a kicker. We're going to the playoffs. And either our guy's hurt or our guy's been ineffective, and we're going to sign him. But I got to tell you, I mean, whenever you get a player that's got really ugly off the field baggage combined with bad recent play, especially when they're older, that a lot of times spells the end of the guy's career. So if I had to bet, I'd say it's more likely that we don't see him on an NFL field again. But listen, I'm not naive. If some team needs a kicker and they're going to the playoffs, is his name going to come up in the room? Yeah, it will.
Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, you're part of a fun little project over at SB Nation. Jarrett Bailey put together a Gold Star panel that included you and some other folks in NFL media voting on the best NFL quarterbacks of the Super Bowl era. Now, we've only seen 30 through 21 on the list, so I'm not going to ask you to spoil your entire top 30 here, but I do want to ask this. On the list, the wisdom of the crowd here, Josh Allen ranked 21st. Lamar Jackson ranked 23rd. What order did you have those two in on your career rankings of those guys? And did they both make your top 30?
So that's a great question. I voted for this a long time ago, but my initial reaction, first of all, yes, they both made my top 30. If memory serves me correctly, and I should be able to just tell you off the top of my head, but I'm like 99% sure. I think I had Allen higher than Lamar. Lamar has been the better regular season player. Hell, Lamar's had as good of regular season, awards, if you will, as Mahomes had. The problem has obviously been the playoffs. I think I had Allen slightly ahead. I did have both of them in the top 30. I obviously both of them behind Mahomes. If memory also, so I don't think I had Burrow in the top 30. I don't think I had him in there. So that would jive with the rest of Jarrett's list, and he did a tremendous job on it. But yeah, look, in the end, unlike any other position in the league, you're judged by whether or not you win a Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowls as a quarterback. And as we sit here, neither one of those guys has ever been to one. A lot of that is because they're 0-5 against Mahomes in the playoffs. They win a Super Bowl, those two guys are going to be held in the regard of first ballot Hall of Famers. They don't do it, they'll still go to the Hall of Fame, but they're going to be much more in that Dan Fouts, Warren Moon class, guys who are all-time players who just fell a little bit short in the ultimate achievement category.
Guys in the bottom 10 on this top 30 list, most of them not on all of the ballots. Even Johnny Unitas, who was as high as number 2 on somebody's list, got left off of somebody else's list of the top 30 quarterbacks of the Super Bowl era. I'm going to assume that wasn't you. You're a historian, Matt. You know your stuff. You know, Johnny, you could play. The one quarterback, though, that in the bottom 10 that was on everybody's list was Phillip Rivers, who was ranked as high as 11 and as low as 30. But everybody had Phillip Rivers as a top 30 quarterback of the Super Bowl era, essentially. You closer to the high number 11 on him, or are you closer to the bottom of the list with Phillip Rivers?
Closer to the bottom of the list. I think he literally might have been 29 or 30 for me, but I had him on there because the rule of the project was you can only count things start from 1966 on. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't have Unitas on my list because from 66 on, I don't think he is one of the 30 best of the Super Bowl era. Now, if you're including his entire career, I mean, he's a top 5 or 6 quarterback ever. But that was one of the hard things with that list. Is like, what do you do with Johnny Unitas? What do you do with a Bart Starr, who I did have on my list for the record? What do you do? Unitas, his best years were in the late 50s and early 60s. So it's, you're kind of splitting hair there. But with Rivers, look, I think his career is very similar to Matthew Stafford's career. Now, Stafford ended up winning the Super Bowl. He went to the Rams and he got his ring. But Stafford's only been to 2 Pro Bowls. Rivers went to 8. I would argue, though, that they're pretty similar guys. A lot of interceptions, but a lot of stats to go with them. Guys who, for the longest time, it was always like they are good enough to win, but are they gonna? I think those guys are very similar in their careers. Of course, Stafford's going to be remembered a little differently. He got the ring. But I don't think either one of them are Hall of Famers. I don't. I think they're both very good, but they're the Hall of very good. I don't think they're the Hall of Fame.
That project will continue over at sbnation.com. We'll see the top 20. We'll get Matt Verderame's thoughts as they come out. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, That Football Show, and the KC Sports Network, and his own subscriber-only Patreon. The Matt Verderame Show joins us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, it is always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We will step aside for a timeout. Come back. We will wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk next. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, for joining us. Missed any part of that interview? You can click rewind on the YouTube stream. You can catch us archived on our podcast page at 580wibw.com. You can follow us on Spotify. Search for 580 Sports Talk on Spotify. Get the hour-by-hour breakdowns of every show. Listen to us over there. Follow us, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars over at Spotify. That does wonders for us and makes us feel really nice. It doesn't cost you anything. So that's one way you can catch up with the show should you ever miss any 580 Sports Talk. In the next hour of the program, we continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff with number 67, which nobody is currently assigned for the Chiefs. You could argue it ought to be retired. We'll talk about that. But we'll also discuss the weaknesses for the AFC contenders and whether the Chiefs' potential weakness is perhaps the most damaging to their chances of any of the weaknesses of the other members of the AFC's contender class. Plus, we'll look at the state of the American League wildcard race heading into this big series between the Royals and the Mariners, who have a 4.5 game lead on the Royals for the final AL wildcard spot. And we'll crown a June champ on What Is Wrong With You. That's coming up next hour on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on a Monday afternoon. So glad to be with you from the weekend into this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend yourselves and are enjoying your Monday the best you can. And we're glad we are a part of it here on 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. We are online at 580WIBW.com. And we are on video. Our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. So glad that you can be with us for this Monday episode of 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you. Brendan Wrzinski is off today. 2 more hours on the show today. 8 o'clock pregame coverage of Royals baseball tonight. A little West Coast swing for the boys in blue starts with the first of 4 in Seattle tonight at T-Mobile Park against the Mariners. A team holding the last of the 3 wild card slots in the American League going into today's action. First pitch is set for 8:40. So again, pregame coverage 8 o'clock right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Michael Wacha on the hill for the Royals. They'll try to start this road trip, 7-gamer, 2 cities, Seattle and then Arizona on the weekend to play the Diamondbacks. George Kirby is his opposite number tonight on the mound for Seattle. Again, 8 o'clock pregame coverage, 8:40 first pitch. We'll have some more Royals thoughts coming up a little bit later on this hour as the Royals come off of a 1-5 homestand. And I said, look, if the homestand went as poorly as this one did for the Royals, before it started, Rays and the Dodgers come to town. I said, look, if they go 2-4 or worse on this homestand, they're going to have to take a real hard look in the mirror and think about taking some phone calls regarding trades rather than making some phone calls. Well, they went 1-5, but when you look at the wild card race, they're still only 4.5 back. And again, they have a big chance because they're 4.5 back of Seattle. They've got a chance this week to get to 2.5 or half a game with a series win. So you at least got to take that chance, right? So I will, again, say that my official position on the Royals as deadline buyers or sellers, my position still remains hold. Also, everything I said on Friday about trading Seth Lugo being a must, I still believe that. I still believe they have to trade Seth Lugo, regardless of whether they buy or sell. Maybe that depends a little bit on what they hear about Cole Reagans' health. If there's a setback with him, if they're not going to get him back till mid to late August, then maybe that changes calculations on what to do with Lugo. But if he's on track to return by the end of July, Reagans is, then Seth Lugo shouldn't be on the team when he does. That's my official position. And I'd say that if they were 4.5 back of a wild card spot, I'd say it if they were 4.5 up of a wild card spot, to be completely honest with you. But that was on Friday's show. If you missed that, catch the archive, catch podcast. We will also, this hour, crown our monthly champion on What Is Wrong With You. That's right. It's the end of June. Last day of June already. We've reached the end of the 6th month. 6 months down, 6 more to go in 2025.
Crazy.
And we will crown a champion for the month on What Is Wrong With You. We have 2 stories. All 4 of our stories this week were Monday winners that survived an entire week. And
That's
we are
crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that I am hard pressed to remember that ever happening before.
Yeah.
So we have won the lotto, lost the girl and the money. Or honestly, we got a better name for that one from the YouTube comments on Friday. They said won the money, lost the honey. That's less clunky. But also lost the money. So you have to also make sure that we know that the money was also lost in the exchange. That story, and then there's the give me a tip or I empty the clip story as well. 2 really good ones will show down for the June championship. And folks, you'll want to be listening because if Spencer and I have a disagreement, we're going to throw it to the listeners for our tie-breaking vote for our June champion. Also this hour, we continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We are 67 days out of the Chiefs and the Chargers opening up the 2025 season in Brazil. So we'll continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. Want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, the name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We had a nice influx of subscribers into last week. Would like to see more of you who have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel. Go on over and subscribe. And would love to see you in the chat, interacting with each other, helping to build the 580 Sports Talk community during the program here on our YouTube channel. We are 67 days away from Kansas City Chiefs kickoff. And there is not a number 67 for the Chiefs. There has not been a number 67 for the Chiefs, in fact, since Lucas Niang in 2022, who wore it to no great distinction. There have only been two players to wear the number in what we'll call the modern Super Bowl era of the Kansas City Chiefs. Back in 2018, a gentleman named Jimmy Murray wore the number. That was not quite the Super Bowl era. In fact, that was the first of the Mahomes years. So just outside of the Super Bowl era, if you want to get real nitpicky, but like if you consider the Mahomes era to be, we can just call it the Mahomes era to simplify it. But Jimmy Murray allegedly played in 2 games for the Chiefs, an offensive lineman out of Holy Cross in 2018. He wore number 67. Daniel Kilgore started 4 games for the 2020 Kansas City Chiefs at center.
Why does that name sound familiar?
If it's familiar to you, that makes one of us. He
I will say
games for the 2020 Chiefs. Sure you did, pal. I bet his mom doesn't remember that.
I will say that Lucas Niang was on the practice squad for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't give you a number on the practice squad.
No, but when he played in the preseason, it was 67.
But yeah, but nobody's worn it in a regular season game.
No, yeah,
let's say that. We'll say that. Nobody currently, Niang no longer with the team, so nobody currently has the number. Yeah, Austin Ryder was the starting center for the 2020 Chiefs, but Daniel Kilgore started 4 games for that team, and I don't remember that or him. He had a long NFL career, and 3 different teams, played 10 years, 98 games, 60 career starts. Don't mean to slight Daniel Kilgore, but
if you ever heard Kilgore's name, it's because he posted a photo on Instagram or somewhere of a half-finished haircut, because during his haircut, his barber tested positive for COVID.
Huh.
So if you look up Daniel Kilgore, one of the first things to pop up is his half-cut hair.
Looks like he started in 2020 the game at Buffalo, the game at Denver, the home game against the Jets. So he started week 6, week 7, week 8, and then he started week 17 when most of the regulars were not playing. So that was Daniel Kilgore wearing number 67. Of course,
he was also old. He was 30 something.
Yeah, it was his 10th and final year in the NFL.
Yeah, he was a 2-time FCS national champion. Put some respect on his name, Dan.
Well, I do not remember him starting 4 games for the 2020
App State.
I went to App State. How about that? The all-time greatest Chief to wear number 67, the old heads will remember Art Still, who is a member of the Chiefs Hall of Honor, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time team MVP, 1980 and 1984, 72.5 career sacks, number 2 overall pick in the 1978 NFL Draft. Chiefs have retired a lot of numbers. I don't think that still necessarily gets to like the threshold of jersey number retirement, like guys like Willie Lanier and Buck Buchanan and all that. It is kind of interesting that the Chiefs have not retired the number of an offensive lineman, but they've got a bunch of offensive line numbers retired. Obviously, it's a different story with defensive linemen. Bobby Bell was kind of a hybrid linebacker, defensive end. Buck Buchanan was a defensive tackle. Derek Thomas, obviously, a defensive end. But, yeah, Art Still did not have his number retired. I don't think that necessarily gets to that threshold. But, yeah, probably a number that you maybe hand out a little wisely. Don't always give that one out. Make sure somebody deserves number 67, like Daniel Kilgore, 2-time FCS national champion. Anyhow,
apparently this haircut was right before the Super Bowl.
I have no memory of this.
Adam Schefter reported.
Ryan in the YouTube comment says he remembers the haircut story. I had no idea what this was. Absolutely zero idea what you were referring to. No clue.
Adam Schefter posted on February 3rd, 2021 on then Twitter. There were over 20 Chiefs players and staffers, including quarterback Patrick Mahomes, scheduled Sunday to get a haircut with the barber who tested positive for COVID. Per sources, the Chiefs acted wisely and aggressively and pulled the barber mid-cut once his test results came in. He quoted that and said, Chiefs center Daniel Kilgore was mid-haircut when the barber was notified he was COVID positive. Kilgore and the barber both were wearing masks. Kilgore now has to stay home this week, but is tested negative and can return Saturday, and fly with the team and play Sunday. That was February 3rd of 2021.
How about that? No memory of this whatsoever. I think a lot of that particular Super Bowl 55 has kind of been memory hold. It's not a real pleasant memory in the Chiefs kingdom, but yeah, man, I had no memory of that story at all. Zero memory of that. And if I remembered it, I probably would remember Daniel Kilgore backup center on the 2020 AFC champions. But
hey, I only found that because I had to Google his name.
Hey, look, yeah, that's probably about the first thing that comes up, other than his two FCS national champions at championships at Appalachian State. So it has been more recently an offensive lineman's number, even if the best Chief ever to wear it was a wrecker on the defensive line, Art Still. So in the absence of a player to discuss, unless you want me to talk about Art Still, or you've got Art Still stories you can put in the YouTube comments, text them 785-272-9429. I did some Googles on Art Still. Apparently, it was notable during his playing days that he ate a lot of fruits and nuts, that he had like a really healthy diet. It was very noteworthy in the era where we weren't far removed from Len Dawson smoking cigarettes in the locker room during the Super Bowl. That was weird. This guy eats fruit and nuts. What a weirdo. Yeah, that was Art Still. Anyhow, still kicking, by the way. Art Still in the league, as they say. Anyway, in the absence of a player to discuss, 67 is an offensive line number. I think we're going to talk a lot. We already have in recent days, certainly because we keep running into offensive linemen on our Countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We've talked a lot about the offensive line, in particular the left side of the Chiefs offensive line. On paper, that feels to me like the biggest weakness for the Chiefs in 2025. Spencer, do you agree with that assessment? Would you, looking at this roster, would you say that is the biggest weakness? And if weakness feels too strong, maybe the biggest question mark? Just in terms of positionally.
I agree with the question mark.
Okay.
I wouldn't say weak spot because I just think it's question marks. Like who's going to be where?
Like there's a ceiling, right? Like
yeah.
If Josh Simmons is good right away, which is a big bet to make because he's coming off of a bad injury and he'll be getting back to it with a full training camp, but he didn't participate fully in OTAs and things like that. It's a big bet to make that he can come out and be like an average to above starting left tackle in year one. And Kingsley Suamataia has played one NFL game at left guard, which was not a position he played in college.
No. But if he uses that game and we get 10 of those games in the first 14 weeks, I think that's a win.
There is promise. I'm picking up where you're putting down. I agree with that. There is, I think, some promise and some potential based upon the athletic traits, the nastiness that Suamataia plays with. I think he probably, just going back to what he showed as a rookie, I think probably skill set wise, tools wise, he's a better fit at guard than he is at tackle. But it's another big bet that someone who's played that position one time in a game, essentially in their adult football career, is going to be an average to above starter. And unlike Josh Simmons, where we know that the benchmark the threshold he's got to get over to be an improvement from last year is not very high because the Chiefs struggled at left tackle all season. The threshold for Kingsley Suamataia is a potential Hall of Famer in Joe Thuney. So that's where you have the question marks. And if you think it's being too harsh saying that it is necessarily going to be a weakness, that is fine. I would agree with that. I think that is a fair argument to make. But there is a chance while we're talking about ceiling, we also got to talk about the floor, that Josh Simmons isn't ready to be an average NFL starting left tackle coming off of the injury. And that Sua Mata'ia maybe just can't play. Like, maybe he's just not real good. And Mike Caliendo is a backup who's played in the NFL. I think there's a lower floor at left guard, or a higher floor than maybe some other people would perceive, because Caliendo can, I think, at least be replacement level there. But there's a chance Kingsley just can't play. Like, the speed of the NFL game just maybe too fast for him. Maybe it just doesn't work for him at left guard. So there is the potential for that to be a glaring weakness for the Chiefs in 2025. And if it ends up being a weakness, is it the most potentially damaging weakness for any of the AFC contenders this year? And that presupposes that there are damaging weaknesses for the other three teams that are in the contender class. Spencer, let me ask you this. Do you think that I have made the contender class too small by excluding everyone in the AFC who is not Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati? It is those three teams in Kansas City, I believe, that are the threats to win the AFC to varying degrees. I don't think anybody else can do it, because I don't think anybody else is a quarterback that good.
No, yeah, it'd be a fluke if somebody else won.
It would feel
flukish
a little, unless the only exception here is if there is a massive leap forward for CJ Stroud, and or Trevor Lawrence. Like, I know Brendan's drinking the Jacksonville Kool-Aid a little bit. I like Liam Cohen too. And if that works out, he goes from play caller to head coach and is as influential to Trevor Lawrence as he was to Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. Maybe there's another level for Trevor to get to. But even if there is, I don't know that that's the level that Jackson and Allen and Burrow and Mahomes are already at.
Yeah.
So I think the contender class is 4 teams: the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals. What are the weaknesses for those other contenders? For the Bills, I kind of think it's their lack of playmakers on offense. I don't think they have enough game breakers with the ball in their hands, and that makes them like, and it's not like they have bums at wide receiver or anything like that. I think Khalil Shakir is a good player. I think Keon Coleman, with his size, is a red zone threat, and he's going into year 2. James Cook, I like a lot, in fact, at running back. But they feel to me, for a third, fourth consecutive year, that they are too reliant on Josh Allen. They are too reliant on him to create the big play, because they don't have enough big play creators with the ball in their hands. Now, I think they might be in better shape this year than they were last year, potentially, because they're not relying on a totally washed Amari Cooper. And there might be some growth for Keon Coleman if he can stay healthy. But that, to me, is the Bills' weakness. I don't think they have enough playmakers yet on offense. The Ravens is a tough one to figure out, because I think that man for man, I think they're up there with Philadelphia as far as having the best 53-man rosters in the NFL. It's really difficult to come up with a defined weakness for the Ravens. I would kind of point at the defensive line, maybe the whole front 7, and say, okay, they're not great with their hand in the dirt, guys. Matt Abike took a step backward last year. He got the big payday 2 years ago. He only had 6.5 sacks last year. They're not real good at nose tackle. They don't have like the space eater nose tackle. Michael Pierce retired. Inside linebacker, like Roquan Smith is still pretty good, but Trenton Simpson, not so much. Kyle Van Noy had 12.5 sacks last year. He's 34. Does he have another year like that in him? Are you sure you're getting double-digit sacks out of 34-year-old Kyle Van Noy?
I don't know about that.
So I do wonder about their front 7. I like their secondary a good bit, but I wonder about their front 7 if it again, relative to, like, they were better on the offensive line than I think a lot of people expected they were going to be last year, and I don't consider that. If you'd asked me at this time last year, I would have said offensive line was the Ravens' weakness. But their weakness, I think, personnel-wise, is the front 7. The Bengals' weakness is just their entire defense. It's a disaster. And if they have to do something with Trey Hendrickson that involves him not being on the team, it's even worse. And that's really the answer. Like, you're laughing because you know that's really the answer.
No,
right?
I'm laughing at the text we just received.
Okay, we did get a text from the 785 says the Ravens' weakness is Lamar Jackson's lack of playoff success. like relative to Mahomes, that's everybody's weakness,
That's
right?
true.
Like relative to the Chiefs, that's everybody's weakness. That only Burrow and the Bengals are the team that's done it. That's gone to Arrowhead and done it. That's won in that big spot against the Chiefs. That's had the ball last and made the play, led the drive, won the game, and eliminated the Chiefs. Like, that's not nothing. Like, don't get me wrong. I do think that's a substantial advantage for the Chiefs entering 2025. My thought is more of a personnel perspective than an intangible perspective here. Though I do think intangibly, Texter, you're right on. The text line is 785-272-9429. Back to the Bengals. Their defense is so bad that it almost had me hesitating whether or not I could even put them in the contender class, even with a quarterback as good as Burrow. Because you are not winning anything, and you're certainly not getting through Patrick Mahomes if you have a quarterback at least that good. And Burrow, we know, is good enough, and they've got Chase and Higgins coming back. But that defense is so bad. And they fired the guy. I still can't get over the fact they took a look at their defense and, all right, we got no players, but we got the Mahomes whisperer at defensive coordinator. We got the one guy who's done the most, who's flummoxed Mahomes, who's made Mahomes look confused in ways that other defensive coordinators can only hope to. But he's the problem. And they fired Lou Anarumo. And they replaced him with Al Golden. And I don't know how good Al Golden's going to be at this job. I mean, chef's only as good as the ingredients.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. I don't think he's going to be Lou Anarumo good. So my thought is that is the answer to the question. Which AFC contender has the most potentially damaging weakness? It's the Bengals and just their defensive personnel. Like, that's going to be the thing that's disqualifying for them. And I don't see, like, there's a version of 2025 where Josh Simmons is a solid NFL starter as a rookie. Maybe not like Pro Bowl caliber, but he's solid. You can plug him in and you don't have to worry about him. He's as solid as a Joe Alt was last year for the Chargers, where they had their bumps in the road, they had their rookie growth moments, but by and large, they were a solid starter. Again, we know that the bar isn't particularly high for left tackle play for the Chiefs to be able to surmount it and still win a Super Bowl. They've worked around wretched left tackle play. They've worked around slightly below average left tackle play the year before from Donovan Smith. So even if Josh Simmons is just average, that represents something the Chiefs know they can win with. And there is a version of events where Kingsley Suamataia is a natural fit at left guard. That is the position where he belongs as an NFL player, and that he can provide average to slightly above left guard play. So going to be a downgrade from what you got from Tooney all those years. But if he's fine, then I don't look at the left side of the line as a weakness. And then it makes you wonder, okay, what really is the weakness of this Chiefs team? But I don't know that there's a version of events that sees the Bengals all of a sudden churn out a top 5, top 10 defense. I don't know what that would look like. It's particularly if Trey Hendrickson ends up out the door before training camp gets underway. There's really no version of events where that's the case. We are going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. I believe there is a Chief who wears number 66. So we'll have somebody to talk about on tomorrow's show. In the meantime, we'll take a timeout, come back, and crown a June champion on What Is Wrong With You next on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? We're crowning a June champion today on the show. And What is Wrong with You is sponsored today and every day by our guy, Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. You're going to want insurance if you're a part of someone's What is Wrong with You story. Give Mo a call today, 785-273-1572. Two stories competing to join the previous 5 monthly champions and 5 more monthly champions to come in our Tournament of Failed Champions coming up in December. In one corner, we have won the lotto, lost the girl, and the money. Lawrence Campbell of Winnipeg, Canada, is suing his ex-girlfriend, Crystal Ann McKay, as well as Western Canada Lottery Corporation and Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. Campbell purchased a lotto ticket January 19th of 2024, but he had lost his wallet, so he gave the ticket to his girlfriend for safekeeping. 3 days later, found the ticket, discovered it was a winner for $3.6 million. Campbell was told upon trying to collect the jackpot that he wasn't eligible to collect the winnings because he did not have a valid ID. So McKay collected the jackpot on the couple's behalf under the advice of the Western Canada Lottery Corporation. They got the big giant check and a news conference, the whole nine. Anyhow, McKay then deposited the winnings, all of them, into her account. Campbell didn't have one of those. And then in the days after the win, McKay disappeared. Campbell tracked her down eventually in somebody else's bed. McKay told Campbell she wanted to end their relationship so she could be with the new guy, stopped taking Campbell's calls and answering his messages, blocked him on social media, and took out an order of protection against him. Campbell says he was given bad advice by the Lottery Corporation. Miss McKay disputes the allegations and filed a statement of defense. That is Lawrence Campbell, the hard luck, lonesome loser who sued his ex for ghosting him. On the other corner,
I love how this guy, real quick, I love how he lost his wallet, but then couldn't find it. Like literally lost it, had no ID. Like, but he's trying to buy a lottery ticket. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
he didn't have a bank account. Right?
Didn't have a bank account. So I really don't know what to make of Mr. Campbell.
Yeah,
and his life choices and any of that. All I know is this, man. I would have taken some of that $3.6 million, and I would have taken that young woman to a jewelry store, and I would have said, "You pick, you pick." Because I'm putting one of those on your finger just to be safe. Yeah, I would have gone that direction. Anyhow, in the other corner, give me a tip or I'll empty the clip. 59-year-old Robert Delahant, DoorDash driver in Vancouver, Washington, did not receive a cash tip on a $100 order and returned the next day with a loaded gun on his hip to seek the gratuity. Showed up at the Vancouver residence of 19-year-old Kiana Korenkov to demand the tip. Korenkov's father told Delahant to leave the family's property. The men got in an altercation. Delahant lost his footing, fell down, and the young woman's father took the gun. Delahant was drunk at the time, drove away from the residence, called police, advised the house cheated him out of a tip so that he returned and was pushed. Delahant reportedly told police who arrived on the scene that he should not have come back. You don't say. Delahant was charged with assault, harassment, and driving under the influence. All right, we got two good stories.
We do.
I am going to vote first. I'm voting for give me a tip or I empty the clip.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you there. This guy had so much rage that he went home from the job,
He
thought
had
about it, then woke up the next day, and then
had the whole day.
Yes.
The whole day to chill out. Like, if you've worked in food service, you've gotten stiffed on a tip. It has happened literally to everyone who has ever worked in food service. Hand up, it has happened to me.
This is also a 19-year-old who probably might not have a lot of money.
Yeah,
but
you Zoomers don't tip worth a damn. All you Zoomers out there listening to the show, we're big with the Zoomers. Y'all got to tip better. Tipping still matters, man. Give good tips.
But yeah, that's my vote too.
Anyway, This guy had 24 hours to stew on getting stiff. And getting stiff sucks, but it is not worth, having a few belts of scotch or whatever his poison of choice was and saying, I'm going to go get my money. I'm going to go get like $100 on delivery. Typically, 20%, you tip $20 for $100 worth of food. That's pretty generous. Even $10 for $100 worth of food. If I got $10 on $100 delivery, okay, but I didn't feel stiff. I felt like, okay, that was worth my time and my energy, and I carried all this food, and you tip me, and all right, 10%, not custom, but I'll take that. $10, not bad for, however much work you're doing, driving, picking up the food, driving, dropping off the food.
I would be interested to see what the DoorDash, how much was it?
It was $100.
Oh,
it was $100 worth of food. Yeah, like we're talking about here. So it was $100 worth of food. And so my guy had 24 hours to get over. Like, go to the park, like, relax, go for a run, play some video games, read a book, get lost in and stream something on Netflix. Don't go threaten a 19-year-old with a gun. And then you don't even have the chops to make your threat stand up. You get bowled over like nothing by the girl's dad, and then he takes your gun. He takes your piece. So you got stiffed, and then you got embarrassed. And I do wonder if that moment of clarity occurred while he was falling ass over tea kettle in that person's front yard. But however it came too late. And so give me a tip or I'll empty the clip is our June champion unanimously here on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by our main man, Mo, State Farm agent Ryan, Mo Winkle. Again, you can give him a call, 785-273-1572. We will take a timeout. When we come back, the state of the wild card race in the American League, where the Royals stand and why this week is a big opportunity. That's next here on 580 Sports Talk. .442 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you this afternoon. Text line open, 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Watch us on YouTube today, 580 Sports Talk. Beats working. Royals and Mariners tonight and the next 3 nights following that. No day games in this series. Man, you know what would have absolutely hit like Liston? A 3:10 first pitch on Thursday. 3:10 Central Time.
Yeah.
Man,
That'd be nice.
Those West Coast day games, you root for those. When the schedule comes out, you root for those West Coast day games. That's free vacation day in the sports talk, in the 580 sports talk world. We were not so lucky. I'm sure Seattle,
especially because that would have made your double. You would have double weekend.
Yeah, you would. You would 4-day weekend effectively. Because we are, by the way, not doing a show on Friday. July 4th is Friday. We will take the day off. That's some show business for you. We'll work through Thursday, but like many of you, we'll take the 4th of July off. I'm sure Seattle wants to do fireworks tonight or the 3rd of July. I don't know if they're home on Friday or if they go back out on the road. Looks like they're at home. So, and they're playing a day game on the 4th of July. What the hell? Okay. I don't approve of this at all. Apparently the Mariners are doing their fireworks on the 3rd.
Yeah. So then
we get hosed.
The city of Seattle does their fireworks on the 4th.
Okay, so yeah,
you gotta.
I guess I see it. Yeah, they're playing ball with the city. They got a big show on the sound or something.
I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Just speculating.
The Nats do that too. They play at 11:05
on the 4th.
On the 4th, so the game's done, and then everybody can get to the National Mall.
I see
all the festivities they do down there.
See, some cities like don't have like a centralized fireworks show, like and others do. I always think of the video. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I may revisit it again. Do you ever see when like San Diego has a big show and one year there was a mishap and all the fireworks went off at once? And like, you know, like a big fireworks show, these carry on for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You know, you choreograph it, you set it to music, the whole thing. This was just like 20 seconds of white heat and explosion in the sky, and that was it. Shot off all the fireworks at once. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. If you haven't seen it, I forget what year it was. San Diego fireworks show. What are you Googling it faster than I can?
2012.
Yeah, 2012. It was 2012. The whole show blew up in 15 seconds. The big baby computer glitch. There was a computer issue. And it blew up all the fireworks at once. It is a miracle nobody got hurt. But, yeah, that's what I always think of.
I once got hit by a firework.
Did you really?
Yeah, so where my grandma lived, they did it at a local ball field. And it was like a little complex. The fire station was right there, luckily.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a kid. I was probably like 8 or something. And one of the fireworks like blew up, malfunctioned, and it went everywhere, and I got a spark right to my chest.
Ooh, jeez!
It was like literally hot for like 4 or 5 hours.
That's wild.
Yeah, they stopped doing firework displays for like 4 or 5 years, and then they started doing them again later and moved them to a different place. And you had to. It was like in a different park, and this park was a faraway location, and everybody had to be like 2 football fields behind it instead of like 1 football field.
If you're watching on the YouTube stream, I'm going to post a link in the chat to the Big Bay boom in 2012. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see in the chat. If you have not seen it before, you've got to watch it. It is so funny what it looks like for 18 minutes of fireworks to explode in 18 seconds. It is hysterical. Anyway, enjoy that if you're watching the YouTube. Again, our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. If I could run the video, if I could figure out a way to run the video like in a picture-in-picture on our stream, I would do it. It is so funny. Anyway, Royals playing baseball this week. They're playing the Seattle Mariners. As we go into today's action, the Mariners hold the 3rd wild card spot. Tampa Bay staying hot. They're 47-37. They're 3.5 up on the field. Toronto at 45-38, 2 up on Seattle. And Seattle is 2 up on the next closest competitor, who is Los Angeles, the Angels. Then you have the Rangers at 2.5 back at 41 and 43. The Guardians 40 and 42, 2.5 back. Boston 41 and 44 is 3 back. Minnesota 40 and 44, 3.5 back. And then you have the Royals 39 and 45, but only 4.5 back. The bad news is evident, right? You turn on the TV, you watch the Royals, you see the bad news. They have not played well really since mid-May. They've dug themselves a hole. They're 6 games below 500, which is a season low in that department. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams ahead of them before they can even see Seattle in the wild card race. If there is good news to be had, though, Minnesota and Boston and Cleveland in particular are playing some rancid baseball. Cleveland right now looks ready to pack it in. Boston's already traded their best hitter. Their season's only going one way. Minnesota, they are, I would describe the Minnesota Twins as front runners. When things are good, that is a team capable of playing some good baseball. But the minute they meet adversity, they wilt. That is one of the least mentally tough baseball teams I've ever seen, the Minnesota Twins. And you saw it last year when they folded in the playoff chase, ended up missing out on a playoff berth. Even though Kansas City was so bad in September, they were trying to give that final spot to the Twins, and the Twins just wouldn't take it. They got no dogs in that clubhouse. There's zero dog in them in Minnesota. So I say that to say that there are teams right now playing, like everybody essentially, other than the 3 wildcard teams, the teams that are currently holding wildcard spots, playing some pretty mediocre baseball. So it's not a stretch to say, hey, look, if we have a good week, who's to say anybody else is going to have a good week? And it could be Kansas City at the top of that heap 1 week from today, just as easily as they could be further and further out of that heap. And one thing in their favor is that they do play Seattle this week. In Seattle, yeah, they're holding a playoff spot. They're 43 and 40. That's just a different flavor of mediocre. Not a particularly good team. Their run differential is 13 runs. They are just a slightly above average baseball team. Their pitching is a little worse than I think most people expected. They've dealt with some injuries. Logan Gilbert's missed a bunch of time. George Kirby's missed a bunch of time. He's tonight's starter. Their offense has maybe been a little better. Cal Raleigh's doing his Barry Bonds impersonation. J.P. Crawford's having his best year at the plate. Randy Rosarena's having a nice year. I mean, it's always nice to check in on Randy. Julio Rodriguez is supposedly their star. It's been like 2.5 years since he hit like a superstar. Like, if this is all we get from Julio Rodriguez, if this is all the player that he is, it will be hard not to feel a little cheated, because his first 2 years in the major leagues, it looked like he was going to be a superstar. And now he kind of feels like, no, this is 2.5 years. He's only 24, so I'm not writing him off yet. But it's like 1.5 years where he's just been a guy. A 726 OPS this year with 11 home runs. And that's, still above average because Seattle's a tough place to hit, but not the breakout that I think a lot of people had forecast to this point for Julio Rodriguez. So it's an offense where it's their best guys, Raleigh and Crawford and Arozarena and Rodriguez, really carry them, and they go kind of as far as those guys do. But they're not unbeatable. They're in a stretch where they just took a series against the Rangers. Split. They had 2. No, it was a series win over Texas. Took 2 out of 3 from them, but previously had lost 2 out of 3 to Minnesota, or split a 4-gamer with Minnesota, excuse me. So results kind of been up and down. They've been a pretty uneven baseball team in much the same way that the Royals have been an uneven baseball team. That's the thing. If the Royals' competition was a bunch of teams that had proven themselves by some wide margin to be capable of better baseball than the Royals, it would be a very different conversation that we were having. But these teams all still kind of feel like peers with the Royals, where there are significant flaws, and on any given night, there might be a star performance that helps you overcome that, or there might be a really good pitching performance that helps you overcome that flaw. But these are all flawed baseball teams. And the Royals go to Seattle to play another flawed baseball team. And it's an opportunity to hop up over that carnage and get back to the front of the pack in this wild card race. It ain't over. I say all that to say this thing ain't over yet for the Royals. And I think you saw glimpses of the kind of team that can make a push this past weekend against the Dodgers. You got to see more than glimpses, though. Otherwise, your window of opportunity starts closing on you pretty rapidly as July progresses. And the longer you go with more of these teams sitting in front of you in the standings.
Real quick, I think you start a new series, not yet turning the calendar, but I think you mentally turn the calendar. It's July 1st for them right now. I think you clean slate the month, and maybe that helps.
I think that can be beneficial to do kind of a hard reset to close the book. They're 8-17 in June today with only one home win. They do. They had played above 500 ball in March/April. They play above 500 ball in May. They're miserable June and got to close the book on it. I think you're exactly right. That has to be the prevailing attitude in the clubhouse. Is that June is done, not technically, but in a sense. And turn the page to a new month and a new opportunity, and understand that this is a really valuable opportunity. These are games you got to be keyed up for, because these are 2-game swings in the standings every single night. So I think we'll see a focused team. I think we'll see a prepared Royals team. I think we've seen that a lot of the year anyhow. I think there have been times in June where the focus slipped a little bit, but no excuse for it to slip now. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the 4 o'clock hour next on 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up the second of 3 hours today here on 580 Sports Talk. A lot of headlines to get to. All-Star Weekend or All-Star Week starting to take shape in Major League Baseball. Big NFL trade we talked about with Matt Verderame in hour number 1. We'll reset that in sports headlines. Also have the winner's circle from the weekend as well. More buzz for a Chiefs rookie. And the last time we'll read a familiar byline reporting some Chiefs news. We'll get into that. Plus, we'll set the table for the Royals and the Mariners tonight. 8 o'clock pregame coverage, 8:40 first pitch. You got it in you for 9 innings of Royals baseball tonight? I know you're a little sleepy from the weekend. You think you got 9 innings in you tonight?
I don't know.
I also don't know.
It depends, because it could be over by 11.
It could, yeah. Could be a quick. A lot of Royals games have been in that kind of that 2 hour 15, 2:20. So it happens if you don't score runs, right?
Yeah.
When every game you play in is like 3-1. Yeah, those games get over pretty quick, don't they?
Or they could decide to score runs and it could be over at like 11:45.
Yeah, you very well could. I'll be watching tonight, and we'll see. Asher's been sleeping good last couple of nights, so I might have a little more in me than I give myself credit for. All that's coming up in the final hour. 580 Sports Talk. Stay with us on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 3, 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon, turning evening in the capital city. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis rocking with you today. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. Thank you so much for being with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk, name of the YouTube channel. And you can watch us on Facebook, WIBW News. We're glad you're here. Thanks for rocking with us. We got one more hour to do today, and we'll hand the baton to regular programming. Royals baseball won't take the airwaves until 8 p.m. West Coast swing, 2 cities, 7 games, starting tonight in Seattle with the first of 4, 8:40 Central Time, first pitch tonight between the Royals and the M's. I used to call them the M's. Like, there would be the shortened version on, like, the out-of-town scoreboard. The M's. M''S. You get, like, the Orioles with the O's and the A Athletics. There's the A's. Like, nobody even calls them the Athletics really anymore. The Sacramento A's.
They're actually not the Sacramento A's.
On this program, they are.
According to the MLB,
I don't care.
And their
what
PR
Rob Manfred
people.
said. Rob Manfred not paying me.
According to their PR people, they are the Athletics or the A's.
Yes. According to me, according to this program here, they are playing their games in Sacramento, so they're the Sacramento A's.
Did you see they broke ground in Vegas?
They didn't break ground on anything. They had a phony baloney ceremony indoors with a bunch of rented equipment. How do you break ground inside for a baseball stadium? It's all garbage. They're never going to get a stadium built there. Just sell the team to somebody who'll build them a ballpark in Oakland.
Tell us how you really feel, Dan.
It's the worst ownership situation in baseball, and I root for the Colorado Rockies. So that should tell you how I really feel about the farce that is the Sacramento A's. But yeah, you used to think of them as the M's, but nobody really calls them that. Maybe some fans do as a matter of shorthand. But yeah, the Seattle Mariners are the opponent tonight for the Royals. Michael Wacha, George Kirby, the pitching matchup. George Kirby's going to throw strikes. So this could be a fast-moving game. That's George Kirby's whole thing. He throws strikes. So could be a quick one tonight. Get you to bed by 11. That'd be nice. 8:40 first pitch. And again, if you can't watch it on TV, you can always hear it right here on your home for the Royals. 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Your interaction with the program, invited and encouraged. Want to hear from you today in the YouTube comments, on the live chat on YouTube. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the program, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. We have a text in from the 785 that submits that the Pirates have the worst ownership in Major League Baseball. And it's really sad that it's a contest. Like, yeah, Bob Nutting, terrible owner, but at least he has not stolen that team from Pittsburgh yet. Give him time. But at least he has not stolen that team from a good baseball city in Pittsburgh, like John Fisher did to Oakland. So
I personally,
I do. Bob Nutting is terrible. Do not confuse this as an endorsement of him. But no, for me, it's still Fisher with the gold, Nutting probably the silver, and Dick Mumford.
I don't know. I personally think Bob Nutting is the worst owner of any ownership in any owner of any kind of organization, because he owns newspapers. And today, the last place I worked at, where I cut my teeth in radio, newspaper, he just slashed their whole sports department.
Oh wow!
And they're only going online and once a week.
Wow.
Yes.
Bad guy. Like.
Yeah, Bob Nutting owns a corporation that owns newspapers.
Not a lot of not a lot of philanthropy being done on the part of the super rich these days. Anywho,
mind you, sports made the most money out of that newspaper, according to the guy the sports editor that worked there for 25 years and just retired.
Now at least he got to retire.
Yeah. It was a forced retirement.
Oh, well, never mind. I thought maybe he made it to retirement. Nope. Looked like retirement made it to him.
Yeah.
Which, that's unfortunate reality in the business for sure. So we'll talk some more baseball. We'll preview the series, get to the lineups, all that good stuff a little bit later on this hour. We'll also tell you which Chiefs rookie is getting some more post OTA hype or post minicamp hype ahead of the start of training camp. Next month is the start of training camp. Tomorrow is next month. So that's how close we are getting. We are 22 days from the start of Chiefs training camp. A countdown that gains more and more pertinence with every Royals defeat.
What are we from the first NFL training camp? That's got to be coming up, right?
That is a great question. Like whoever plays in the Hall of Fame game, I know they report a little earlier usually.
Yeah, like a week or two.
But no, I don't have anything for you. If we were doing a countdown to the start of training camp, we'd already beat Trent McDuffie.
All right. Chargers or Lions are going to go.
Okay. I don't know the report date. I know the Chiefs report date, and that's it. So we'll get into that and salute
the 16th.
Okay, the 16th, and we'll salute a Chiefs fixture in the media who is calling it a career today. But we begin this final hour with a jam-packed, a loaded, if you will, 580 Sports Talk headline segment. We begin with All-Star Week in Major League Baseball beginning to take shape from MLB.com. Vote now. Your ballot will finalize All-Star starting spots. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the two shortstops who fans can choose from to start the upcoming Major League Baseball All-Star game in Atlanta. That game is 2 Tuesdays from tomorrow. So we're 15 days out of the Major League Baseball All-Star game. Witt finished second among all American League shortstops in the first round of voting behind Sacramento Athletics shortstop Jacob Wilson. And Wilson outstripped Witt by quite a bit, by about 500,000 votes. Jacob Wilson batting 347, second in American League, and he's ahead of all qualified rookies in numerous categories. The A's have not had a fan-voted starter in the All-Star game since 2014, Josh Donaldson. So it's been over a decade since
crazy.
The A's had a player voted to start the All-Star game. Bobby Witt Jr. is trying to become the third Royals shortstop to be voted an All-Star starter. Can anybody name the other two? I'll give the text line and the YouTube chat a moment to try to find the answer. Two other Royals shortstops in history have been voted to start the All-Star game. You can text if you know. You don't get any. I'm not going to give you any prizes. Just you get bragging rights, internet points, whatever you want. But 785-272-9429 or the live chat on YouTube. If you know who the other two Royals shortstop All-Star game starters were. It's kind of a funny list. Bobby Witt Jr. is a lot better than both of these guys. Let me just say that. So anyway, Bobby Witt Jr. is the only Royal who made the second round of voting. It's now every position is down to 2, except in the American League, outfield is down to 4, and you'll pick 2 starters because Aaron Judge, by virtue of getting the most votes of any American League player, is locked in to the game to start. And in the National League, their locked-in all-star is Shohei Ohtani. So
are we shocked?
No. So there is no fan voting for the DH. So anyway, the players in question that you can pick from, I'll get to those in a second. But we do have one of the names has been landed on. Christopher has one correct. So does a texter from the 913. Freddie Patek started the 1978 All-Star game at shortstop. The Freddie the Flea. He was a little guy. You probably don't know this. You're probably not really up on your 70s.
I am not.
Freddie the Flea Patek, little guy. He was like 5'6". Stole a bunch of bases, hit like 230 every year. 78 was towards the end of his career. It was his third All-Star appearance and the only one he was voted to start. That is one correct answer. The other shortstop, nobody has landed on. Mark B, no, it is not Adalberto Mondesi. Very funny, but no, not him. Not Kurt Stillwell, not Lou Piniella and Cookie Rojas. Those guys weren't shortstops. From the 785.
Was it Jay Bell?
Christopher's got it. It is Alcides Escobar. Wow. Christopher's got it. So Christopher got both of them. Alcides Escobar is the other answer. 2015. Back in 2014, 2015, Royals fans got real antsy in the pantsy with their All-Star voting. We almost had Omar Infante start an All-Star game. we were close. Like, there was outrage about this. People were mad at Royals fans for voting for their guys.
That's
to the point where Omar Infante, who was bad, almost started an All-Star game. So those were our the other two answers. And right now the only two shortstops who have started All-Star games for the Royals. Alcides Escobar, Freddie Patek. Anyway, your choices on the current All-Star ballot. In the American League, catchers down to Seattle's Cal Raleigh and Toronto's Alejandro Kirk. First base, Toronto's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and New York's Paul Goldschmidt. Second base, Gleyber Torres of the Tigers, Jackson Holliday of the Orioles. Third base, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, Alex Bregman of the Red Sox. And you'll pick 2 outfield starters between Detroit's Riley Green, Detroit's Javier Baez, Mike Trout of the Angels, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians. The designated hitter choices are former Royal Ryan O'Hearn of the Orioles and New York's Ben Rice. Over in the National League, you'll pick 1 catcher between LA's Will Smith and Chicago's Carson Kelly. First base is between the Dodgers' Freddie Freeman, the Mets' Pete Alonso. Second base, the Dodgers' Tommy Edman, and the D-backs' Ketel Marte. At third base, the Dodgers' Max Muncy, and for the Padres, Manny Machado. At shortstop, from the Dodgers, Mookie Betts, and from the Mets, Francisco Lindor. And you'll pick 3 outfielders among Chicago's Pete Crow Armstrong, Atlanta's Ronald Acuna Jr., New York's Juan Soto, Chicago's Kyle Tucker, and 2 more Dodgers, Andy Pages and Teoscar Hernandez. Meanwhile, we also know from minor league baseball today, the Futures Game rosters. This is the annual showcase of top prospects across baseball. It'll be played, and Major League Baseball's so stupid for doing this. They play it Saturday afternoon during a slate of Major League Baseball games.
I think it should be played Sunday night.
I think it should be either before the Home Run Derby or Wednesday night after the All-Star game.
I think Wednesday night after the All-Star game is too late.
Well, there's nothing else, right? Like, there is nothing else. There's nothing in the sports world that is counter-programming. Play it on Wednesday night. It should be the only thing.
I think, too, though, it would be cool if it was Sunday night, because if you had all games wrapping up in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, I could see that
and
argument.
You're
for
like,
Sunday
let's
night.
put our futures on, what would be right now, like, Sunday Night Baseball or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't hate that idea, honestly.
Because then you get 3 nights of something. Spread it out in your advertisers, But
no, instead, MLB puts it on MLB Network, and during a full slate of Saturday games, just like, okay, sickos, it's here if you want it. But instead of really showcasing these guys. And it's another loaded field of players who will be participating. The Royals will be represented by their 3rd-ranked prospect and top 100 prospect in all of baseball, Carter Jensen, who is, of course, a Kansas City area kid who's had a terrific year at AA, just got called up to AAA about a week ago. And former first-round pick, left-hander Frank Mazzucato, the number 12 ranked prospect in the Royal system, had a decent start to the year at high A. Double A has been a bit of a rough jump for Mazzucato. Frankly, a little surprised to see him in this game. But it is Mazzucato and Carter Jensen who will represent the Royals. K-State fans can watch Kalen Culpepper in this game as well. He'll represent the Minnesota Twins. He's 4th-ranked prospect in the Twins system. Of course, he just got called up to AA Wichita.
We got 2 homers already.
Good. Glad to hear he's off to a good start. Other top 100 prospects include the delightfully named Brewers shortstop Jesus Made, which looks on paper like Jesus made. It's Jesus Made, still really cool name.
Yeah.
Top 20 prospect J.J. Weatherholt of the Cardinals will participate. The Dodgers top prospect outfielder Jose De Paula will be in the game. Ambidextrous pitcher Jurangelo Senja will also participate in the game. He's one of 3 Mariners that were chosen. Minor league strikeout leader Jonah Tong from the Mets system. The 3rd-ranked prospect in all of baseball, Leo DeVries of the Padres. The 5th-ranked prospect in all of baseball, Andrew Painter, right-handed pitcher from the Phillies. And I'll round out this look at players who will participate in this game with Red Sox prospect Justinson Garcia. That is spelled Jhostynxon.
Wow.
Do you know what they call him? The password. Jhostynxon Garcia. They do. That's his nickname, the password. Anyway, that is your futures game coming up 2 Saturdays from today. Frank Mazzucato and Carter Jensen will represent the Royals. Next headline, Spencer, give us that NFL trade.
Yes, the Dolphins have traded cornerback Jalen Ramsey, who always seems to be on the move. I feel like he never likes where he's at, by the way. and tight end Jonnu Smith to the Steelers in exchange for safety Minka Fitzpatrick. And interesting month for the Steelers when it comes to what they've acquired, who they've acquired in the last month or so. I don't know how I feel about this trade.
Neither do I. It was pretty unambiguous when at first it was like, okay, Steelers have added Jalen Ramsey. I don't know where they're going to play him necessarily, but like he might still have some good football left in the tank. And obviously this fits with the Steelers kind of being all in, trying to be as good as they can be in 2025. And of course, the joke is they're also trying to be as good as they could be in 2020 because they got a bunch of players whose prime was at least 5 years ago. Then it was, well, wait a minute. They trade him straight up for Minka Fitzpatrick? That doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. Are they going to convert? We talked about this with Matt Verderame in the first hour of today's show. They're going to move Jalen Ramsey to safety? Like, what are they going to do with Jalen Ramsey? They just traded a starting safety. I don't quite understand that. Anywho, then Jonnu Smith gets thrown into the trade. It's like, well, okay, I guess the Steelers are getting 2 players for the price of 1. I have heard some rumors that Fitzpatrick, not the best locker room guy. Again, this is just rumor and conjecture that maybe they feel like there's a little bit of addition by subtraction in getting Minka Fitzpatrick out of the Pittsburgh locker room. Maybe some dissatisfaction on his part with his situation there in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's out there amidst the rumor mongers. But I'm kind of with Matt Verderame on this. I'm really befuddled, and I don't know who this makes better or if it makes anyone better, and why the Steelers are so hell-bent for leather on going 9-8, because they just feel like they're building a team ceiling 9-8, floor 9-8. They're going to be the most 9-8 team you've ever seen this coming year. But I'm with you. I don't quite know what to make of it. I don't know that I would score a winner of the trade necessarily either.
Well, now you got 2 tight ends too, right? Like 2 big time tight ends.
That's not necessarily a hindrance. A lot of teams use 2 tight ends.
Oh no, but like
Jonnu Smith isn't going to be number 1 in Pittsburgh with Pat Freiermuth there.
Yeah.
No. So that's just another element of it that is a little bit confusing. Let's go to another headline. This is a big one from the Big 12 from ESPN. BYU quarterback Retzlaff faces suspension, plans to transfer. We have sort of talked around Jake Retzlaff's off-the-field issues throughout this offseason. We will talk around them no longer. He is planning to transfer from the school, according to reporting from Pete Thamel and Kyle Bonagura from ESPN. He is facing a suspension of up to 7 games by the school for an honor code violation because he is admitted to having premarital sex. And that is a violation of the honor code at BYU. They do not play around with that honor code violation. Do you remember Brandon Davies, Spencer?
Yeah.
In 2011, Brandon Davies was one of the best players on the number 3 team in the country in basketball. They were 27-2, rolling into March Madness, and Brandon Davies got kicked off the team because he had sex with somebody who wasn't his wife, because he was not married at the time, and got kicked off the team. Now, they reinstated him the next fall, but he got kicked off the team while BYU was rolling. So they're serious about this. Reno Mahi happened to him, too. He was a star running back in 1999. He got suspended from school for this particular honor code violation, had to transfer to a junior college, later ended up re-enrolling at BYU. So, you can be forgiven, but you're going to get in trouble for violating the honor code. And they don't care if you're a star in the basketball team or the starting quarterback, the BY Jew. They don't care. You're going to get in trouble for this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, why does everybody know that Jake Retzlaff had premarital sex? Well, he was sued this summer. A civil lawsuit alleged that he raped a woman in 2023. Retzlaff had met with school officials before the weekend and was informed he would likely face a 7-game suspension. He had been working out with the team, participating in summer workouts, but it sounds like rather than accept the suspension and sit out more than half the 2025 season, he will instead transfer. This leaves McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, and Bear Bachmeier as the 3 backup quarterbacks in the room that will start. Yeah, that's the most BYU quarterback room names you can possibly come up with. Last month, a woman filed a civil lawsuit that alleged Retzlaff raped, strangled, and bit her in November of 2023. In a response to that lawsuit filed on Friday, a lawyer representing Retzlaff denied those allegations, but said Retzlaff did have consensual sex with the woman. The encounter occurred November 2023. You can read the details on that at your own leisure if you would like. Today, that lawsuit was mutually dismissed with prejudice, which means that the person who filed the lawsuit cannot file the same lawsuit against the same person. That's what that means. It's not an admission that it was a false accusation. It's not an admission of anything, innocence or guilt. It is simply, we will remove the civil lawsuit. Typically, this is the kind of thing that happens when there has been a settlement outside of court. And it may have just been as simple as this. That woman did not feel safe on campus with Jake Retzlaff also on the campus. And as long as he was gone, that was fine with her. That was good enough. And you know what? Good for her. Because I think too often we default, particularly when these cases involve famous people, whether they're like capital F famous or just famous in our like corner of the world, the sports corner of the world. And we default to not believing the accuser, not believing the woman. And that is not something you should do. In this case, it does seem like the settlement that led to the civil suit being dismissed with prejudice today is probably just as simple as he's not going to be around there anymore, and she can return to feeling safe on the college campus of her choosing. And that, I think, is a fair denouement as far as, if it's a fair denouement as far as those parties are concerned, that's good enough for me. As to how it will impact the Big 12 football season, it will, because Retzlaff was really good last year, and so was BYU. And they've got some experienced backups. Those guys have all played football. Bourget played at, I don't know if it's Bourget or Bourget. My apologies. He played at one of the directional Michigans the last couple of years. I'm trying to find which one. It was Western Michigan. So he played a little for them in 2022 and 2023. He didn't get on the field last year. Bear Bachmeyer was their backup last year. Hillstead, McKay Hillstead is the other guy in question here, and he did play for Utah State 2 years ago and saw some extended action for them. So they've got some experience in the quarterback room, but not as much experience and ability as Jake Retzlaff. So that is a hit to BYU, no question about it, for the coming season. Next headline, Spencer.
Yeah, we're going to stick with college sports. We talked about college EA Sports college football here on this program. But EA Sports on X says, bring the madness. Let's run it back. Hashtag CBB. Hashtag it's in the game. College basketball video game is coming back in 2028, 2029 season. According to Matt Brown, friend of the program, he's reporting that. And it'll be an EA Sports game. Also a development on X. Apparently 2K wants in on this as well. So I don't know what that means.
So
they posted the campus has been quiet for too long.
Interesting. So Matt Brown, who's been on the program before, he runs Extra Points, which is a newsletter about off-the-field stories in college sports. EA Sports, he was first to report this, and then EA Sports put out their tweet like 10 minutes later because they didn't want to get beat to the punch too bad. But EA Sports has submitted a bid to bring back a college basketball video game starting in 2028. And the college licensing committee has recommended that membership support EA Sports' bid to bring back the game. Chris Vanini of The Athletic reported that every Division I school's men's and women's programs would be included, which is a massive undertaking. That's over 700 teams.
Which is why it's going to take 4 years to come out, or 3 years, whatever it is.
I remember, I forget which one it was I bought when I was a kid. It might have been like March Madness 99. But they like had a handful of women's teams. I think they had like 16 or 20 women's teams. And they had women's teams from schools that did not have their men's teams in the game. Because this is when like only select conferences had their men's teams in the game. But like you could play as the Old Dominion women or the Louisiana Tech women. But their men weren't on the game. So this is not unprecedented, but like the WNBA features in the NBA 2K series now. There's an appetite and an audience for women's basketball, and so it is not a surprise that it would be included in another iteration of the video game. The red flag is that EA Sports really isn't in the basketball business right now. I don't remember when the last NBA Live game they put out was,
2014 or something.
The NBA Live series
Was not very good.
No, toward the end it sucked.
Yeah, I bought one of the last ones.
NBA Live 19 was.
Oh wow, they went that long?
Yeah, it's been that long.
No, I didn't know they went that long.
Well, there was a bit of an interruption. They didn't put out a game between 2010 and 2013. But
yeah, then they came back in 2013. Yeah. That was the game I had, and I thought that they weren't coming back after that.
So EA Sports hasn't been in the basketball business for quite some time, so they don't have like the skeleton of a basketball game like they do with like the Madden game. They have like the skeleton of a football game, and they could start to make a college football game. EA may not have as developed a skeleton to start developing a basketball game, so that is why you have the longer delay. I didn't buy every year the college basketball game, but I kind of went back and forth. My favorite one ever was probably College Hoops 2K6, which was a 2K game, obviously. I still fondly remember the Stony Brook team I took to the national championship game, one of my proudest video game achievements. But I did buy the last one, because the last time we had a college basketball video game was NCAA Basketball 2010. Blake Griffin was on the cover. That's how long it's been. Because he had a whole NBA career between then and now. And he was on the cover of the last college basketball video game. I want to be excited. I think it's pretty cool, but will the game be any good if it's an EA Sports basketball game? That I'm a little iffy on. I got to admit, I'm a little hesitant on that. But still, more opportunities for kids to get some NIL. For women's college athletes to get some NIL. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and now that they've announced this game, X is blowing up with college baseball wanting their own game.
Listen, MVP 06, NCAA baseball went so crazy. They put out two of them, and I didn't get the first one. I got the second one, but they screwed up the rosters on the second one, where basically like they were the old year's rosters. They just mixed up the teams. So they're the same players. They were just on different teams. Like they totally messed up the rosters for MVP 06. Didn't matter to me. I mean, they were all like numbered players anyway. And I didn't follow college baseball that closely that I was like real anal about who was who, like I was with the football video game. I just like to play with the aluminum bats. And the creative player was so sick. Like, yeah, man, I loved MVP. Yeah. Like if EA wants to get back in the baseball business, I would trust that more than them getting into the basketball business.
One quick thing. I'd be interested to see what broadcast partnership does EA go with? Do we get like the old
So I don't know if you remember this, but the NCAA 2010, the last college basketball video game, this is why I bought it. They had both an ESPN graphics package and broadcast and a CBS.
That is sick. I never knew that.
And broadcast. I think the ESPN broadcast was Vital, and I don't remember who the play-by-play guy was.
Yeah.
Maybe Brad Nessler. And the CBS broadcast was Gus Johnson, and I don't remember. Maybe Len Elmore. I don't remember. But totally separate. So if you were playing like your Dynasty, like you might have Big Monday and you'd be on ESPN. And the game would be like it was on ESPN.
Yeah.
And then you might have like a Saturday afternoon game, and it would be on CBS. And then when you made the tournament, it was on CBS.
Yeah.
But if you played in the Maui Invitational, they were all on ESPN. So I was like, I don't think there's another video game that's done anything remotely like that since then. Would love to see college basketball try it for sure.
That'd be sick.
Last thing we'll do in our 580 Sports Talk headlines, we'll go to the winner's circle. Winners from the weekend. Chase Elliott won a thriller in Atlanta, the Quaker State 400. Chase Elliott back into victory lane on the NASCAR Cup Series. Apparently a really good race. All the big names wrecked out early, and I turned the race on. There wasn't anything going on Saturday night. I turned the race on, and I'm looking at like the top 10. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? Yeah, I'm not a NASCAR follower, but I don't know who the hell these people are. Like Gibbs, is that like
that's Joe Gibbs' grandson, Ty Gibbs? Yeah.
And so that was the first thing. It's like, and then like they show the screen. It's like 30 through 40. It's all the people I've heard of. Hamlin out, Logano out, Chastain out. Like all the names I know. Including friend of the program, Ross Chastain. They were all out. They all got caught up in a big wreck early. Second thing I noticed watching this NASCAR, the paint schemes are all whack. Like, you go back to the 90s and how good NASCAR looked in the 90s, how cool the cars were, how, like, you could sell the racing jackets as, like, streetwear. You look cool wearing, like, the Interstate Batteries Bobby Labonte jacket or the Cornflakes Terry Labonte jacket or the M&Ms or the DuPont Jeff Gordon. You're not selling any of today's paint schemes as a racing jacket to wear and look cool. You're just not.
I also think that that's a bigger issue. Sponsorships in NASCAR. When I was a kid, you couldn't go to the store and not see
everybody was spending on NASCAR, and now
it was like every product you looked at was you could watch on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. And I do think you see less of that. You see less prominent companies sponsoring, even something like Brad Keselowski's a name I know, and I couldn't recognize his sponsor for the life of me. But anyway, that's a complaint for somebody who doesn't watch NASCAR, so take it with as many grains of salt or as few as you'd like. But I checked out the race. It was entertaining. The part I watched about the second stage. It was entertaining. There's a lot of lead changes, good 3-wide racing. It looked like an entertaining race, even if I never heard of half of those guys.
Real quick. So this is now the TNT portion of the broadcast schedule, which is the part of the middle point of the broadcast where Prime had it for the month of June. Now TNT has it for the month of July. They're doing like a knockout in the middle of the season.
Like
a little
the
challenge.
In-season challenge. Yeah, I caught that.
I'm going to play a quick audio real quick that was on TV. Ty Dillon. Basically, he is Austin Dillon's younger brother. He is also the grandson of Childress, Richard Childress.
Okay.
He's the one that wrecked Denny Hamlin. So I kind of I think NASCAR is kind of building up a little bit because you got these little rivalries happening. I think I've been following it a little more and seeing these things, but it was just funny because when Denny Hamlin won, he said something a few weeks back. He said something in his post-race interview about
get spicy.
Yes. I like it.
That's good. Yeah, no, that is good for fan investment. Also in the winner's circle this weekend, Aldrich Potgieter, the 20-year-old South African bomber, hits the ball longer than anybody else in the PGA Tour, and now he's got a PGA Tour win. Took him to the 5th playoff hole at the Rocket Classic in Detroit, but he outlasted Max Grazerman to earn his first win. Only 20 years old, youngest South African player to ever win on tour, and that's, Ernie Els, Nick Price, pretty good company.
Yeah.
But Aldrich Potgieter, that's a name to remember because nobody hits it farther. He hits it like DeChambeau long.
Wow.
Right? And there ain't nobody else on the PGA Tour as long as the big, beefy South African boy, Aldrich Potgieter. And now he's a PGA Tour winner. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Which rookie's getting some Chiefs buzz 22 days out of training camp? We'll tell you next. 580 Sports Talk. 540 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. Garrett in the YouTube comments says more NASCAR talk. You love to see it. Even if it's, paint scheme talk from a non-expert. We aim to please. We endeavor to please. We know we got a lot of NASCAR fans out there. A lot of NASCAR fans in the YouTube chat. Check out the YouTube if you have not. 580 Sports Talk. What I will tell you, the one car I did think was cool in I like this brand was the Treetop car. The Treetop applesauce.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I'm Googling who was driving that car. But I thought that was a cool one. Riley Herbst was driving the 35 Treetop applesauce car. They make a quality sauce.
I'm trying to find this. Oh yes. So we were sitting there. I thought it was
cool green.
The race had been delayed,
and
we were sitting there getting ready to leave to go to Stampede, and I just had the pre-race on because there's nothing else on TV at that point that was really watchable. And Olivia goes, "That's a cool applesauce car," and I didn't even see it. So now I'm looking at it. It is cool.
Yeah. I'd buy the Treetop racing jacket. I'd wear that out and about.
Yeah.
Mark H tells we did not mention United States men's national team on to the semifinals of the Grey Cup by the skin of their teeth, beating Costa Rica in penalty kicks last night in the Gold Cup. I think I said Grey Cup. That's not right. That's the CFL.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
No, the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup.
Up north.
No, hey, listen, you'd rather advance in those competitions than not. You could be Canada, lose to Guatemala in the quarterfinals. You don't want to be that. But no, that was good for them winning penalty kicks. It's it's kind of a skeleton crew, this Gold Cup team for the U.S. men's national team. A lot of the big names aren't playing. A lot of them are in the Club World Cup right now. So trying to make it happen with the B, maybe even a C team. But they're in the semifinals. So good for them. Good shout, Mark H. This from ESPN.com today. More buzz for Brashard Smith. I thought this item was interesting. ESPN.com posting one player who, is getting the most buzz, most hype coming out of minicamp. Brashard Smith was that player for the Chiefs. Adam Teicher writes, judging from how he's utilized in offseason practices, the Chiefs have plans for Smith, a 7th-round draft pick out of SMU. Smith was a wide receiver in college before moving to running back for his final season, and the Chiefs showcased his versatility by getting him the ball out of the backfield from the slot and split out wide. Smith ran a 4.39 40 at the combine, so he will fit in with a group of other fast skill players, including Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell's inclusion in that is kind of funny because if he doesn't get hurt, I still think he might struggle to make the team. But I think that idea of his versatility is really interesting because it gives the Chiefs flexibility, with how many skill players they carry. Like, do they consider Smith a wide receiver who can also line up in the backfield, or they consider him a running back who can also line up in the slot or split out wide? And I think that a lot of the gadgety stuff the Chiefs have run in recent years, they've sort of tipped their hand based on which player was doing the gadgety stuff. Like McCole Hardman comes in motion in the backfield. You're not giving him the ball on a straight handoff, probably. When he does the orbit motion or when Xavier Worthy does orbit motion.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that those plays can't be useful or worthwhile. But when you have a real multi-purpose talent, somebody who just had a year where he had a terrific year for SMU and showed he can run between the tackles, but also has that background as a wide receiver, there's a lot more you have to account for as a defense with a player like that. And so I am really fascinated to see how they use him, what role he's in training camp, and really how they use him in games. Do we see him line up in the backfield straight up, in the single back, or line up sidecar next to Mahomes, or probably in the preseason, it's going to be a lot of him with Minshew in the shotgun? Or do we see him in motion? Do we see him in the slot? Where does he line up? I just think that a player with his versatility is really interesting because the Chiefs have had gadgety type players, but I don't think they've had a piece like Brashard Smith where he is truly versatile as a running back or as a wide receiver option. So definitely fascinated to see what the Chiefs' plans are for him. And while we mention it, want to congratulate Adam Teicher on outstanding career covering the Kansas City Chiefs. Today's his last day. That is the last time you will hear on this show Adam Teicher for ESPN writes, because he's not writing anymore. He's done. hanging up the pen, calling it a career, one of the best to do it. Certainly want to salute him from out here in Topeka for his outstanding coverage of the Chiefs for all these years. One clap for Adam Teicher. There we go. Congratulations, Adam, and enjoy your retirement. We'll take a break. Come back. Preview Royals Mariners game 1 tonight, late night, here on 580 Sports Talk. The Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Mariners open a 4-game series tonight at T-Mobile Park in the Pacific Northwest. First meeting of the season between the Royals and the Mariners. Royals chasing the Mariners and a big chunk of the American League wildcard pack. Seattle's got the third and final spot right now with a record of 43-40. Puts them 4.5 games ahead of the Royals, who are 39-45 entering the action. Royals and Mariners split their 6 games last year. Of course, there was that memorable comeback on June 7th of last season when the Royals fell behind 7-0 in the first inning and came back to win, scored 3 in the 9th to win 10-9. I remember that one because I was holding my day-old son in the hospital watching that game.
That's when he first became a Royals fan.
That's my son is stuck now. He's got to be. He had a Royals shirt on.
I remember that picture.
Yeah, he had a Royals shirt on this weekend. One of his, I think one of his aunts got him a Royals shirt for his first birthday, and he was out. We got a bubble mower for him. He's out playing with the bubble mower in the yard. He's got his Royals gear on. So the series was even split 3-3 last year. Mariners tonight will send George Kirby to the mound. Really good young pitcher, but dealt with an injury, missed first month and a half of this season. Some uneven results for Kirby in his first 7 starts of this season. 36 strikeouts in 36 2/3 innings and only 9 walks. He's a strike thrower, but he's also given up 7 home runs, and a couple of rough outings early on have inflated his earned run average. The lineup that will get after the right-hander Kirby tonight for the Royals: Jonathan India is at second base. Bobby Witt Jr. is at short. Michael Garcia is at third. Vinny Pasquantino back at first base. Salvador Perez will do the catching. Jack Caglione is DHing tonight and batting 6th. The outfield bats 7, 8, 9. Drew Waters in left. John Rave in right. And Kyle Isbell in center. Michael Wacha is on the hill for the Royals. He has twirled quality starts in 4 of his last 5 outings and hasn't given up a home run in either of his last 2 starts. He was really good against Tampa Bay his last time out, gave up those 3 runs on a couple of suicide squeeze bunts or safety squeeze bunts early, but did have a season-high 9 strikeouts in that outing, pitching to an ERA this year of 3.33, but has a record of just 4-7 thanks to a lack of support. The Seattle lineup, J.P. Crawford is the shortstop, and he'll bat leadoff. Julio Rodriguez is the center fielder. Major League home run leader Cal Raleigh is catching and batting third. Randy Arozarena is in left field hitting cleanup. Dominic Canzone is in right field batting fifth. Donovan Solano, who keeps ending up on teams and popping up. Yeah,
What?
Donovan Solano is just always kicking around.
He's had a longer career than his brother, Jonathan.
This is his 5th different team in the last 5 years. He had a 3-year run in San Francisco, then 1 year in Cincinnati, 1 year in Minnesota. Last year, 96 games with the Padres, and 50 games this year with the Mariners, hitting 258. Donovan Solano's at first base. He bats 6th. Mitch Garber is the DH, batting 7th. Miles Mastrobuoni, careful with that one, playing third base tonight. Cole Young, the 21-year-old second baseman, bats 9th. This is a must-win series for the Royals. If they lose this series, if they split it, it's probably not fatal. But if they lose this series, they'll be a minimum 6.5 games out of a playoff spot. And that becomes a really tough road to hoe. That's more than, we just need a good week and we're back in it. You probably at that point need like a white-hot month to start to see yourself back in it. And you don't have a month between the end of this series and the trade deadline. So it forces your hand into some tough decisions. At the very least, this is a series you can't lose. You got to find a way to get at least 2 wins. And if you can get 3 or even 4, you feel really good about that heading to Arizona.
I got something to say. I wasn't in the first segment when you were talking about the Royals weekend, but I was listening.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed something on Twitter on Friday night, Saturday. People were really getting after the young guy, Cags.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the same people that for a month and a half, were saying call him up.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No, it's a tough crowd, right?
Yeah, like you literally were like, well, everything's going to be better. We got to call Cags up, call Cags up, call Cags up. Now because he's not producing, you turn your back on him? Come on, Royals fans.
It's the same impatience, right? Like it's all born of impatience. You want you want the young kid to get the call, and then you want the young kid to be great right away, and that just very rarely happens. And unfortunately, it's not happened for Caglione, but I don't believe it has anything to do with, lack of effort or lack of ability. Just getting a little bit overwhelmed by big league pitching and the big league spotlight, and the fact that he's probably had to put a little bit more pressure on his own shoulders because nobody else in the lineup is really going great guns here in the month of June either. It's a tough spot that he finds himself in. I like DHing him, and I hope they can find him more DH at bats moving forward. Not because I don't think he's handling right field well. I actually think he's doing all right out there in right field. I just think it might simplify the game for him if all he's got to think about when he shows up is hitting. I think that might be, I have talked about before that I think it can be detrimental for a player to try and learn a new position while they're trying to get settled as a big league hitter. I think that was detrimental to the development, for example, of MJ Melendez. I do think it will benefit Cags if all he can do is just think about your 4 at-bats tonight. Just take those with you. Those are your responsibility tonight. Your 4 or 5 at-bats. Just focus on those. I think that could help him, and I hope it does. Hope it helps him and the Royals tonight. One last break. We will come back with a final word after this. Final word time on this Monday, Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah, so obviously I was out large of last week. Missed a lot of talk about the Royals and their hitting coach, Alec Zumwalt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say one thing on this. If your hitting coach was asked to transition from a hitting position full-time that also involves defense in the outfield to a pitching position, should he really be your hitting coach? That's just what I'm gonna say.
Final word for me today. I want to pass along thoughts and prayers to the family, friends, and loved ones of Rick Strecker, former teacher, coach, athletic director, principal, and school president at Hayden Catholic High School, who passed away on Saturday after a battle with pancreatic cancer. Strecker led Hayden girls basketball to 3 Class 4A state championships, also led Hayden track to 2 state titles as well, would later move on to Blue Valley West. Strecker was just getting to Blue Valley West and leaving Hayden as I was arriving in Topeka, so we did not overlap or get a chance to cross paths, but a lifetime of service is certainly an admirable one. And again, our thoughts and prayers to the family, friends, and loved ones of Rick Strecker. That'll do it for us today. Royals baseball pregame at 8, first pitch 8:40. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.